Okay, I'm ready. Sorry about that, I just needed a moment. Welcome to my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, episode 42, the conclusion to Darby the Player, and part 1 of Vanilla Ice, the Spirit of Emptiness. Still a better title than the Miasma of the Void. So, the first half of the episode was the introduction to Vanilla Ice, but before we got that, we get to see Darby the Player's defeat. So, we learned Darby stands Atum's second ability. It has the ability to read or see into people's souls, and Darby would have to ask or think of a question, and that was how he was able to read Jotaro and learn like what arm he was going to use to punch with Star Platinum and what kind of pitches that he was going to throw. So his stand is basically a soul lie detector if you think about it, but the only downside I can see is that Atum not only has to look at the person in order to see the soul and read said person, but the questions that he would have to think or ask have to be answered with a yes or no. However, that ability was no longer useful to him because Jotaro, even though he was telling the truth on what kind of pitch he was throwing, they ended up completely different. Darby was panicking, trying to figure out what Jotaro was doing. It turns out that he was cheating, but it wasn't really him that's doing the cheating. Later on in the episode, it was revealed that Joseph was using his stand Hermit Purple to control the game. Now, I didn't know that Hermit Purple can do that, but just the idea of Joseph participating like this, I thought it was really neat and cool. So I was just glad that Joseph got to do something in this fight. And the funny thing is that this was Jotaro's plan this whole time, but he didn't have to send a signal to Joseph. So Joseph, like in that conclusion at the ending of last week's episode, knew what Jotaro was planning, so he went along with his plan, which I thought was really neat. I think this is probably one of the few moments that we get between grandfather and grandson involving with a fight. Just like what happened with Darby the Gambler, Darby's face started to like wrinkle and look like he was getting older. I mean, his hair didn't turn white, but you can tell that the stress was like getting to him. Later on in the game, Darby accidentally releases Kakyoin's soul, so Kakyoin is now free and back into his original body, which is good. What was really funny about this is that Darby had this like shocked look on his face, like he couldn't believe what was happening. And then when he realized that he released Kakyoin's soul, he was like, "Ah, shit! No! I didn't mean to do that! That was an accident! I didn't admit defeat!" But in actuality, deep down, Darby did admit defeat inside his soul. So they didn't have to finish the game. All that's left now is to finish off Darby the Player. Jotaro decides to toy with him, asking him the same question that Darby did in the first encounter. Will I hit you with my right fist or my left? Now every time like Darby like asks a question, I mean you see Jotaro's soul and his soul would read either yes, 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 or no, 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 no. But then when Darby asks, "Moshikashite orara desu ka?" which means, "Are you going to do the orara thing?" Joseph goes, "Yes, yes, yes." Oh my god. And then face palms, which I thought was kind of funny. And then of course we get the Star Platinum beatdown, and then we get the narration text going, "Terrence Darby, unable to recover, retires." Darby is then sent flying into the sky, which technically is really the wall in the room. So they're in a room, and the illusion was actually just inside the room, apparently. Yeah, so that's it from the 9th and final Egyptian God stand user. Things then take a more serious turn as we are then introduced to Vanilla Ice. He was there inside Dio's room to report on what happened. And no, we do not see Dio's face. Like, they're seriously, like, building it up for some reason. I mean, we know what he looks like, just show us his face already. It's really frustrating, goddammit. Anyway, this then leads to a conversation about why Darby lost, and according to Dio, it was because he wasn't willing to die for him, even though he did pledge his loyalty to him. Which is funny because I thought Darby lost because Jotaro cheated. Dio then tells Vanilla Ice that he needs to drink the blood of one more person in order for his scar to heal and to fully adapt to Jonathan's body. He asks him if he's willing to give him his blood, and Vanilla Ice, without hesitation, says yes. He summons his stand right behind him, places his urn right in front of him, and then his stand slices his own head off. Like, I'm not kidding, decapitation with his own goddamn stand. And then the blood was like spewing out from like the stump of the neck. He was trying to fill that urn. Like, holy shit, that It was messed up. It was censored, but still, holy shit. But what's kind of funny is that Dio didn't want Vanilla Ice's blood. He didn't want the blood from someone of his caliber. So I think this was kind of a test to see how loyal Vanilla Ice really is. And I do believe that he's probably like the second person that we saw in the shadows aside from Enya from episode 3, and probably that was him in the shadows at the final episode of season 1. Anyway, to reward Vanilla Ice for his loyalty, for willing to die for him, he resurrects him using his own blood, turning him into a vampire. So yeah, we got ourselves another vampire stand user. Although I'm not expecting any like vampiric abilities from Vanilla Ice. Like I'm not expecting like stingy eyes or whatever, but since he's a vampire, he's definitely going to be tougher to kill. So Dio leaves the rest to Vanilla Ice. He then gets eaten by his own stand, and then the stand eats himself, turning into this like invisible spear thing, and he leaves the room, like disintegrating the surrounding area of like the door and the wall. But later on, it was revealed that his stand revolves around a dimension, a dark dimension. Anything that it touches with either like its mouth or I'm guessing the surrounding area of the stand, when it turns into that invisible spear, it teleports into this dark dimension, or in this case, according to Vanilla Ice, it disintegrates. Yeah, anything this stand touches, gone. That's a pretty crazy ability. We then cut to Avdol, Polnareff, and Iggy, and they decided to go inside after 10 minutes had passed, and it was obvious that they weren't going to burn down the mansion. But before they go in, Avdol made Polnareff and Iggy promise to not help each other out, because if either one of them became separated, severely injured, or defeated, then high chances that all three of them might either die or get defeated. Avdol and Polnareff grabbed fists, like giving themselves like a bro shake like this. They made a promise that when all this was over, Polnareff and Iggy will be treated by Avdol to a fancy dinner. Oh my god! You know what? That instant that they made that promise, death flags were like flaring up. I mean, like, you know something bad was going to happen. So when they go inside the mansion, there was a labyrinth inside created by this illusion stand. To make sure that they didn't get lost, Avdol summons Magician's Red, creating this fire cross thing to detect any living things, human or animal, from any direction within 15 meters, detect their movements, and the stand's energy. So this whole time, Avdol had a stand user and stand detector made out of fire, and it was never used before? Like, ever? Are you kidding me? Like, why was this never used during, like, the strength episode? I mean, it would have been able to help find the stand user for strength a lot easier. I know Avdol was, like, gone for the majority of season 1, but he could have also used that to find Endul during the Endul Get two-parter. Like, what the hell? Combining with that and Iggy's sense of smell, they were able to find the stand user for the illusion stand. Yeah, there was another stand user, and he was defeated quickly. Like, seriously, I mean, kudos to, like, Iggy and Avdol, especially Iggy for, you know, doing the finishing blow. Iggy summoned the Fool, slashed at this, like, one pillar, cracks open to reveal the illusion stand user, and on the floor, dead. This is, like, the final stage. We're getting closer to the climax, and I was not expecting for, like, any pathetic stand users to be defeated so easily. I think the reason why that happened was to make the readers and the watchers caught off guard for what's going to happen later on. This stand user, in the subtitles, he's called Billie Jean, named after the Michael Jackson song, but he's actually called Kenny G. They didn't even, like, say what his stand is. I don't even know what his stand looks like. I mean, I even, like, looked it up and I couldn't find anything about his stand aside from the fact that it creates illusions. So I don't know if it has, like, a physical form or if it's the kind of stand that has to be bound to something. But I did find out the name of his stand. Tenor sax. Named after a freaking musical instrument. Tenor sax. Like, really? God damn it. By the way, Kenny G's appearance, he looks like someone you'd see from, like, the Frieza saga from Dragon Ball Z. Like, seriously, that, like, plating that he has on his shoulders, he looks like one of Frieza's henchmen. So anyway, the three move on, but Avdol notices some writing on this one wall, and it said, after you see this writing and turn around, you will die. Avdol turns around, he sees Vanilla Ice and his stand. Since the stand revolves around dimensions, he can send himself and the stand to another dimension to hide his presence so he wouldn't be detected by Magician's Red's fire detector and Iggy's sense of smell. So he yells at Iggy and Polnareff to look out, punches them to get out of the way, and then his entire body was gone. All that was left was his arms. When Polnareff and Iggy recovered, Iggy was like gasping for breath, like he couldn't breathe. Polnareff was wondering where the hell Avdol was. And then Vanilla Ice appears, and he was like inside his stand when his stand showed up. They didn't reveal the name of the stand, by the way. He tells them that Avdol has been disintegrated. He is dead. Avdol has been sent into the dimension of darkness, and to make matters worse, the stand grabs onto what's left of Avdol, his two arms, and then consumes them, sending them into the dimension of darkness, leaving no trace of Avdol whatsoever. And then the episode ends with Polnareff yelling, "Don't lie to me." Yeah, this was quite the episode. In fact, I think this episode was better than last week's. Now, the first half with Darby the player, I thought it was alright. It was definitely funny at times, and I knew Jotaro was going to pull off some sort of trick, but I didn't think that it was going to be Joseph that would orchestrate it. I mean, him using Hermit Purple to rig the game, I thought it was like really funny and pretty cool, and I'm glad that Joseph got to do something during that fight. I find it very ironic that our main hero, our main character, is the one that's cheating, not the villain of the fight. And if you think about it, the formula used in this fight was kind of similar to Darby the Gambler, but they did go at it differently, which I do appreciate. I know some people probably hate the fact that Jotaro had to be the one to save the day and win against Darby the player. I know some people would want Kakyoin to win, and trust me, I'd want that too, but I didn't have a problem with this. But I'm hoping that, you know, since we're getting closer to the climax of the series, more of the supporting cast will get their chance to shine. As for like Atum's second stand ability, I thought it was cool and interesting, but the fact that it only works if you like ask or think a question that has to be answered with either a yes or no, it is a bit of a bummer, but I still think that the ability was kind of cool. As for Vanilla Ice's introduction, it was definitely interesting and took a more serious turn. I mean, his introduction, you can definitely tell that this guy is a serious threat, and it proves that, and I like it. I like it when villains are a serious threat. It gives the main characters, our heroes, a hard time, which I do appreciate. So I am looking forward to seeing more of Vanilla Ice, but I can tell that I'm really going to hate this guy later on. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do hate him right now after what he did with Avdol, but I'll get to that later. His design I thought was kind of interesting, but I do question why the hell he's wearing a Speedo. I mean, the guy was not wearing any pants, so like, what the hell is up with that? But I do notice like several like heart designs that he was wearing, like I think with the jewelry and I think it was like a necklace or something, I'm not sure. And you know, compared to Darby the player, Darby's design is actually like more normal compared to Vanilla Ice. I'm guessing that the whole heart thing is going to be a thing when it comes to like the minions inside Dio's mansion. The fact that he was willing to die for Dio proves that this guy is probably Dio's #1 minion. When he decapitated himself, it was pretty messed up, but it just shows that how incredibly loyal he is to Dio. He's willing to die for him. So he's definitely no joke, and his stand's ability is, it's quite crazy. I mean, sending things and disintegrating them into another dimension, it's nuts. I know many guys probably think that there might be a way to save Avdol, but I don't think there is. Like, I think Avdol is like dead for good this time and he's not coming back. Yeah, like, I can't believe that Avdol like died like this. I mean, when you compare it to like various deaths that we've gotten from like the last two parts, the characters usually have like time to mourn or reflect their thoughts or say their final words. But with Avdol, there is like no time to mourn. No time to hear like his final thoughts. It was like instant. Which really sucks because I didn't think Avdol was going to die. Only because like it was led to believe that he was dead in episode 10 and he came back later on during the Judgment two-parter, So I thought he was gonna be safe. Because I wonder, like, what is the point of killing off a character when he supposedly died once? It's just, oh my god, like, I just wish that Avdol's death, like, it was, like, better, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, his death was, like, really surprising. I just wish that he'd gotten something better, you know? Because he deserves it. He definitely didn't deserve something like this. And what really sucks is that his, like, final fight was against this Kenny G son of a bitch. Like, really? So all Magician's Red had to do was, like, create this fire detector, which is interesting and all, but, like, he didn't get to do, like, anything else. It just sucks. It really does. And I did hear about this. Like, apparently Hirohiko Araki intended for Avdol to die when he got shot and stabbed by Whole Horse and Jay Guile. But fans were so pissed that Araki had to, like, retcon the death and rewrite him into the story. Couple chapters later, dies again, for real, and he's not coming back. Like, god damn it. Oh my god, like, I just wished that Araki would have had Avdol do, like, more stuff, because, like, if you think about it, the majority of the fights so far in the second season would go to, like, either Jotaro and Polnareff. Avdol at least did participate once during the Endel fight, and he and Joseph did team up against Mariah and her stand Bass, so that's something I do appreciate. Yeah, it sucks. I'm gonna miss the guy. And I'll miss his stand, Magician's Red, yeah. The animation and artwork, once again, was really good, especially during, like, the scenes when Atum was seeing Jotaro's soul with his, like, soul vision. That's what I like to call it, his soul vision. I thought the animation sequence during those scenes were pretty good, but I did notice that they reused the Star Platinum pitching animation sequence during the game scenes. But I also did like how they animated not only Vanilla Ice's introduction and the sequence used of his stands, like, appearing, disappearing, and, you know, like, eating his stand user. I thought it was pretty cool. I also liked the animation used on Avdol's death. There's a bit of, like, slow motion used into it, but there's also, like, freeze frames used during those scenes, which I thought was a nice touch. Music, once again, was really good. I'm looking forward to, like, hearing the 4th OST soundtrack. The music used during the tension when Avdol, like, read that message and tried to get Iggy and Polnareff out of the way, that was like really good. Definitely, like, raised the tension, like, seriously. As for voice acting, once again, it was pretty good. I'm glad that David's production picked Kenta Miyake to voice Avdol. And, you know, hearing him in his final moments, he did a good job with that voice. And Komatsu Fuminori voicing those, like, yells when Polnareff was, like, wondering where Avdol was, that was very well done. Now, apparently, there was a voice actor who voiced Kenny G. I am not kidding, because all he did was just one freaking yell. And his name is Junichi Yanagita, and he voiced several supporting roles from some anime, not a lot, but some. Like Captain Earth, World Trigger, Shokugeki no Soma, and K, for example. As for Vanilla Ice, he is voiced by Sho Hayami, which you probably know him best as Sosuke Aizen from Bleach, Wolfwood from Trigun, Zarbon from Dragon Ball Z, Akira Fudo, aka Devilman, Ichiya from Fairy Tail, and not only that, but he's also voiced in 2 of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure video games. In All-Star Battle, he voiced Enrico Pucci, the main antagonist in Part 6 Stone Ocean, and Vanilla Ice in Heritage of the Future. That's right, this guy was the original voice actor for Vanilla Ice, and David's production hired Sho Hayami to reprise his role in the anime. So next week will be Vanilla Ice versus Iggy and Polnareff. I really don't know what they're going to do against a stand that can send you into a different dimension. I mean, Polnareff's stand, Silver Chariot, is a close range, and it's not good at long distances. It can only go up to, like, 1 meter, and Iggy's stand is the Fool. I don't know if his stand can, like, shoot out sand projectiles, but maybe it's possible. I'm not sure. The only way I could possibly think of for them to defeat Vanilla Ice is to either lure him out of his stand or lure him into the sunlight outside the mansion. I mean, he is a vampire, so he has that daylight weakness. And since he is a vampire, he's definitely going to be harder to kill. So if they can't lure him out of the stand, then they would probably have to attack his weak spot, which would be his face inside his Stan's mouth or something. I'm not sure, but I am really looking forward to next week's episode. So, overall, this was a really good episode. I probably like this more than last week, and I am so looking forward to next week's episode, seeing more of what Vanilla Ice can do and what is going to happen next. So, tell me, guys, what did you think of this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of Darby's defeat and the introduction to Vanilla Ice so far? What are your first impressions on him? And how did you react or feel when you saw Avdol, like, dying like that? I mean, it was messed up. Like, this is like one of the first deaths we see that just happened so sudden in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you know? Like, yeah. I'm gonna miss you, Avdol. You and your stand, Magician's Red. It was a cool stand. God damn it. Alright, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to more videos. And be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 42. I'm gonna respond 27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. You know what, it's such a shame that Avdol's not going to hold up on his promise to treat Iggy and Polnareff to dinner. Man, this is really sad.